Hello there and a very warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I am Victor Matthias. Nigerians were separated as to whether or not to join or support the protest organized and later cancelled by multiple award-winning musician Innocent Idibia, popularly known as Two-Face. The protest, according to the organizers, was supposed to call the attention of the government to the way it has piloted the affairs of the nation since taking over in 2015. The issue surrounding the protest is our focus on the program today. But before we get to them, let's find out what the trends were in the past week. This hashtag was used to sell the candidature of President Muhammadu Buhari 2 years ago. However, this time around, it was used to check how far he has gone in fulfilling the campaign promises he made. And football fans the world over applauded Frank Lampard Jr. for the spectacular football he gave them during his time at West Ham United, Chelsea Football Club, Manchester City, and New York City. And this time he became Chelsea's all-time record goal scorer and won numerous trophies and individual awards. Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week. However, now let's join our online contributors to get a sense of what they feel about these protests.
Well, in a democracy, protests are the ingredient that keeps it going. I think we shouldn't be actually talking about justification. Rather, we should be asking ourselves the question of why it's coming a bit late. And if you ask me, I think this protest should have started coming 365 days into the life of this administration, when it started becoming so clear that this government, in the final analysis, might not appear to know what it's doing. So I would move beyond justification, and I will argue that it's coming rather belatedly. But as people do say, it's better to be late than be delayed. So I think that it's a good thing moving forward. I'm only worried that given Nigeria's past antecedents with military or anti-military struggles, in those days when we had the military in power, we used to see a very robust, vibrant civil society taking charge of this kind of events. And I'm quite puzzled and saddened by the fact that the civil society movement in Nigeria seems to be dying, or perhaps becoming more and more political. And that probably explains why this kind of a protest is not coming from that angle. But again, it's not also that important who does the protest. What is important is someone wakes up from his slumber, or people are beginning to wake up from their slumber and begin to realize that we need to put this government on its toes, and Nigerians need to let this government know that this is not charity, and the lives of average Nigerians, or the well-being of Nigerians, isn't something you can joke with.
At this point, I think it is very justified that the protests start to take place because now we are more politically awake, because even people who have never been interested in politics have decided to follow through the process, the procedure, and the happenings in the political sphere. So now we have things at the very worst. We are at the very worst place in our history as a nation. And yes, the circumstances, the occurrences, and the monumental failure of this administration actually has deserved a very, very heated and strong and firm protests from the Nigerian citizens.
All right, Muiwa and Sharon seem to be on the same page. But Precious, what was your reaction when the police issued a statement to stop the process?
For the police to come and say they have an intelligence report, I had read the news that violence is also justified. Could be true, not be true. A country like ours, Nigeria, where the government is built on so much sentiment and sincerity, It's possible the police are just coming out to say that in order to shelve the protest and ensure that that nationwide protest doesn't go as planned. Have intelligence reports that it would actually go violent. So also have an intelligence report that other groups are also planning a protest to counter that of Two-Faced. So it's justified for the police if they're coming from a reasonable and truthful standpoint to say, okay, you need to shelve this protest. As you know, concluding is a country where the government is very insincere and untruthful. So at this point in time, no one knows if the police is telling us the truth or not.
Possible that security is true, because the police could, hear more information than we do. But at the same time, if you look at it, if you look at the core of it, that this protest is against the government, and the police are for the government. So the government could do by all means to say that this protest doesn't happen, because it's going to be it's going to stain the name of the government. It's going to stain the name of the government. Okay, there was a protest because of this, because of that. So if really that the report is actually true, that there's a possibility that there could be some unwanted event to happen, during this protest, then I would say, okay, then the protest should be on hold. But if there's a way that they can find the truth about this whole thing and know that, okay, this report is false, then I think the protest should continue.
The police saying that there is likely they have an intelligence report that says there is going to be violence is like saying a fish swims, because anywhere there is a protest, there is likely going to be violence. Anywhere there is a protest, there is always likely to be violence. So now it is the job of the police to ensure that violence does not erupt. Now, for police to come up and say you cannot have a protest because there is likely going to be violence is a statement to their incompetence. Is a statement in support of the violation of their oath to protect the country. It is your job as a police, as an organization in charge of the security of the primary security of this nation, to make sure that the protest goes peacefully and that no life is lost. If any life is lost in the protest, if any property is destroyed in the process of protesting, then that is a testament to your own failure as an organization. Now, I don't accept that the police should now say that a protest should not happen because they have an intelligence report that they have an intelligence report that there is going to be violence. Now, I don't agree with that. So that is just something they are saying for their own sake. And I have no doubt in my mind that they are echoing the voice of the federal government.
Well, the issue of who should lead the protest has also been debated in various quarters, with some picking holes in the character of those leading. Do you think this should be an issue?
What happened to separating the message from the messenger in the first place? What business have Nigerians got to do with the person leading the protests? For all I care to know, or for all I care about, Two-Faced Idibia, the last time I checked, is a Nigerian. A Nigerian who benefited immensely from this country in terms of the support Nigerians generally have given to his industry, his music career. So, and when you look at it from the perspective of the comfort, in quotes, that Two-Faced himself appears to be enjoying, he's the last person I would have expected to lead the protest. I am not convinced that Two-Faced is at that very low herb that most Nigerians are, or Two-Faced is feeling exactly the heat that Nigerians or most Nigerians are feeling at the moment. And for Two-Faced, who isn't feeling the kind of heat that most Nigerians are going through, to want to lead a protest, then it tells us that The man is sincerely and genuinely committed and concerned about what is going on in his country.
Two-Face, who called for the protest. First of all, what is morality? I don't seem to understand it. A morality coming from, and I'm pretty sure that the only people who are talking about morality of the person who's spearheading this protest, the people talking about this morality are the people, sycophants, Buhari apologists. These are the people who are constantly talking about the morality of Two-Face, who has called for this protest. Now you have to ask, what moral standard has Two-Face violated? What moral standard exactly? Has he held public office before? Has he embezzled public funds before? This is a man who has, in his rights, built a successful musical career in this country. And there was never any, the only time he was ever involved in a scandal was about his personal life, and his personal life is no one's business.
Well, it's been argued that what Nigerians face at the moment actually started from previous administrations and not now, hence the blame should not be on the present administration. Is that correct?
It is the responsibility of any government to secure the lives and properties of its people. He played politics with Nigerians and Nigerians' security. One. Secondly, the corruption that was staring us in the eye under Jonathan is beyond qualification. And there are no two ways about it. Whatever problems a Muhammadu Buhari presidency has got now has its first cause from the bad mismanagement of our economy in terms of our general commonwealth that was looted under a Jonathan presidency. That said, that does not excuse Buhari from this madness, in quotes, that we have going on now. If Jonathan was banned, as I did mention earlier in my introduction, and the dollar exchange at 219 or 220 naira, and if Buhari wants to tell us it's good, I do not think a dollar should be exchanging at 501 now. So Jonathan was not an option. As of then, did we have someone better? I'm not so sure. And at that point, continuing with the Jonathan, because we wouldn't know what the future holds, could have been disastrous. And what seemed as disastrous? For me, I had no regrets campaigning against Jonathan. If I were to do it again, I will repeat it. My regret, however, is that the man who had responsibility, who had so much hopes and expectations placed on his candidacy, didn't live up to moderate expectations. And that's how politicians behave.
I agree with everything you said, except for the parts of the corruption. Now, this corruption that we'll be talking about are at most alleged. Now, this government has made many people believe, not me, that they recovered loots. Now, where is the recovery? Where are the records indicating the recovery? Now, for a government that people have accused of being monumentally corrupt, no one has been convicted of any crime. As a matter of fact, none of the high-profile cases that people expected are in court. Designing, who everybody rumored had squandered all the nation's commonwealth, Designing is walking free. As a matter of fact, there's no pending case against Designing in court. Now, what corruption are we talking about? Good Luck is walking freely. Now, did you expect that a man who everybody called the anti-corruption crusader doesn't have the guts to charge people to court? The best thing that the most that this government has done is conduct media trial, nothing more. We are all learning people. Let us all always deal with facts, things that have been proven, not hearsay. If the government has a case of corruption against anyone, they should bring it to court. Look at Dazuki now. What is stopping the federal government from charging Dazuki to court in the presence of everyone?
All right, just hold your thoughts for a second. We'll take a quick break and we'll be back shortly.